Oh, gee, no. Bro. OG had the shot, man. Step back clean. Fuck, so close, man. That was the shot you wanted. Oh, dude, you gotta make that. Oh, it was Scotty who missed the tip. Bro, that game's so much bullshit, man. I honestly thought he was gonna make it, cause he had the shot. The step back was there. All right, well, that was kind of like my live reaction. So let's get into this video. Fudge. God damn, man, that was such a close game, and it was another close game. Another game that came down to another last-minute shot. This is absolutely unbelievable. I will say that the Raptors always find a way to just entertain me. Just think about the fact that the Raptors led for 47 minutes and 55 seconds of a 48-minute game, only to lose the lead when it mattered the most. Oh man, that was heartbreaking. I want to sit here and put the entire blame on the goddamn refs, and I will later. But the Raptors once again failed to execute down the stretch. It happened in the game against the Wizards as well, but fortunately they were able to force enough turnovers to get some easy transition buckets, and as a result finish off Washington. However, in this game, the Cavs honestly did a brilliant job of preventing easy transition buckets in the fourth quarter. Yes, they had turnovers, yes, the Raptors got long rebounds, but they found a way to stop the fast break. As a result, the Raptors had to execute their half-court offense, which was once again inefficient enough for the Cavs to pull off the victory. They only scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, and it ended up costing them. I don't care what your lead is, but 21 points in the fourth quarter will never be enough to close out games. And it was tough, because Freddie was having a very rough night, finding the open looks that he was nailing up to that point in the game. The guard would either go over the screen, forcing him into the paint, where there was always an Evan Mobley or Jared Allen playing amazing hedge defense, and they were able to shut down the 1-5 pick and roll. On top of that, Evan Mobley is really good. There were multiple times when Mobley was switched out on Fred VanVleet in a 1v1 type situation, and he put the clamps on Mini Drake. However, as Fred struggled to get it going, you could see that there was a switch to get the ball to OG and allow him to operate and make shots and create shots for the team. He had a nice 3 with 2 minutes left, but after that, he was just missing shots that he has to make down the stretch. Sure, there were step backs and fadeaways, which are really tough shots to make, but those are the shots you have to make when the game is on the line, because those are the shots the defense will give you. But alright, I promised a rant about the refs, so here we go. OG ANUNOBY, despite missing those shots, was very goddamn aggressive the entire game, driving to the hoop and literally getting hacked when he was settled in the paint. Like, I saw him get slapped on the wrist and the refs never called it. And as a result, he took as many free throws as I did. He took as many free throws as you did. He took a total of 0 goddamn free throws. I just do not understand why the refs are so inconsistent when it comes to these calls. They call it on one end on Jared Allen, but they don't call it on the other end. I'm completely baffled. How can you not get any free throws despite getting into the paint? It is one thing to not get calls, because that's on the refs. But think about that last shot again. Don't get me wrong, he should have hit that shot regardless, but I can't help but wonder if the fact that the team, and him specifically, were not getting calls throughout the game resulted in him taking a step back rather than just driving headfirst into the rim and maybe potentially getting an and one. I just really wonder. Losses like these hurt because they lead the entire way only to have their hearts ripped out at the end. But let's get into the players. OG was all around awesome tonight, dropping 23 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds while shooting 10 for 21 from the field. Pretty good. And as I mentioned in my last video, this is kind of the standard that I want to see from OG. But let's be honest, the main attraction to this game was Scottie Barnes versus Evan Mobley, the number 3 pick versus the number 4 pick. They both have similar storylines. Coming out of the draft, they were really raw. They had the measurements, they had the athleticism, but how good were they going to be from day one was the biggest question. Well, we can say with confidence that those two are the two rookies leading the Rookie of the Year race, with everyone else playing catch-up. And this matchup was a great representation of that fact. Scottie was inefficient, shooting 6 for 18, but some of his shots he was hitting were really impressive. There was a few long mid-range shots and a few hook shots that honestly got the crowd cheering and riled up. He also snagged 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. More importantly, 7 of his rebounds were offensive rebounds. I'm telling you, Scottie just has an amazing read on shots and is able to get loads of offensive boards because of his abilities. On the flip side, Mobley had 18 points and 5 rebounds while shooting a more efficient 7 for 14 from the field. It is evident that Scottie won this matchup by a long shot, at least in my opinion. But Mobley ain't half bad. He's pretty good and he's a pretty polished player, especially on the defensive end where he's able to guard 1 through 5. After a pretty good start to the season, Precious has struggled in his last few games. I was putting off talking about Precious because I felt like he would bounce back. But it seems as though Kem is getting more minutes, and rightfully so, as he has just had a better impact on the game and especially against the taller, lankier centers in the league. There are many people who at this point just want Kem Birch to start, and I do see the reason behind that. However, I still like the fact that Nurse is putting Precious in the starting lineup even after he struggles, pretty much letting him know that the coach and the organization is still confident in his ability, and they're confident in the fact that he can get back to how he was playing before. That being said, I do believe that when Siakam comes back, Precious will be the odd man out and he will start coming off the bench because, let's be honest, Gary Trent Jr. and Scottie Barnes are just playing way too good to be coming off the bench. But once again, Malachi Flynn gave this team an injection of energy when he stepped on the court. Think about this. In 7 minutes, he had 5 points, 1 assist, and 3 steals. The even crazier part is that the stats don't really do justice to how much of an impact he had when he stepped on the court. He completely changed the game. Look, this team is a scary team, and more so because of the fact that I honestly think that they can overcome any injury that happens throughout the season. Now, obviously, if their entire starting lineup gets injured, that's one thing. But like one injury, like Siakam thus far, they can win games without a player. However, for the very first time, Svi looked pedestrian. After playing great basketball, he had an off game. It wasn't the fact that he was just missing shots, but more so he was looking a little gassed and just not playing like the Svi we saw in the previous 8 games. Other than that, this game should have been a dub. But it is time to move on because the next game is a challenging one. They got everyone's preseason title favorites in the Brooklyn Nets coming to Toronto. Truth be told, I think the Raptors can actually steal this game. So far, the Nets have looked very vulnerable thanks to the absence of Kyrie and the struggles of Harden. On top of that, the Nets struggle against teams that play really good defense. Kevin Durant will probably end up with 30 points because that guy is just freaking nuts. Like, he's the best offensive player in the league right now. However, I'm going to be thrilled to see how Scottie and OG play against him. It should be a great test for them, and more importantly, a fantastic experience to see what it's like to play against the best offensive player in the world. Other than that, I think this team has a super bright outlook for the rest of the season just because of how they've been able to win games without some of their key players.